So the PCI DSS is comprised of 12 requirements and 2 appendixes that we need to have a discussion about. We start off with requirement 1, which is focused on securing and hardening the network, the inbound and outbound traffic. Requirement 2 is primarily focused with looking to harden the systems and the applications. Most organizations tend to really just focus on hardening their operating systems, but this is really, requirement 2 is really intended for all assets within the environment. Requirement 3 is focused on securing cardholder data at rest, right? This is the encryption and the prohibition of storage of sensitive information. Requirement number 4 is focused on making sure that when you transmit cardholder data over open or public networks, that the data itself is appropriately protected. Requirement 5 deals with anti-malware, antivirus. Requirement 6 has actually got quite a bit that it deals with. The requirements when we look at the PCI DSS talk about securing applications, but there's a little bit more than that. It's identifying vulnerabilities, it's patching your systems, it's change management, change controls, it's secure software development, and all the requirements around making sure that the applications are maintained securely. Requirement 7 and Requirement 8 kind of go hand in hand. Requirement 7 is authorization. Requirement number 8 is authentication. We change things up a little bit when we get to Requirement 9. Requirement 9 is focused on the physical security of the environment. If I'm a hacker and I have physical access to your assets, I can pretty much own the data on them. We get to Requirement 10, which is all of your logging. When we get to Requirement 11 is focused on ensuring that all of the things that you've put in place to secure your assets are functioning as appropriate. So this is where we're testing for vulnerabilities and making sure that we're managing the security of the environment. Requirement 12 is the policy and procedure management and vendor management of the organization. This is really the management aspect of the PCI DSS itself. Most people tend to just focus on these 12 requirements. However, there are 2 additional appendices that might as well be requirements as well. The first one we have is for shared hosted service providers. If you have a question whether or not you're a shared hosted service providers, please have a look at the requirement 2.6 for the PCI DSS. That will clearly explain what a shared hosted service provider is. And we'll talk about the requirements within it there. Lastly, we have the last appendix that we need to be concerned with or have conversations about, and that is the designated entities appendix. And once again, we'll talk about what that is when we get to that requirement.